Silent Hill was an ongoing franchise of survival horror titles. Nowadays, not so much, as the series has been dormant for many years, and even before then they lost a lot of quality once the original developers, Team Silent, stopped working on them. I don't have much experience with the franchise, only playing my first title in the series not that long ago, and I have been making my way through Silent Hill 2. And with that inexperience comes with a lower tolerance for horror than my current obvious inspiration. That is to say, I'm easily spooked. But regardless, I still have interest in pushing forward anyways. I only own 2 games in the series, both of which considered being some of the worst, so I chose Silent Hill Origins, which, is an origin story. As well as being the first portable entry in the series releasing on both the PSP and, like a lot of PSP games, later on the PS2, it is also the first to be developed by a non-Japanese team, Climax, who are oddly enough mentioned nowhere on the box. The PS2 version is the overall better looking version with way higher quality models and textures, however the PSP version is a bit brighter, making items easier to see. I'll be looking at the PS2 version because that just happens to be the version of it I own. Oh. The story follows this trucker dude named Travis Grady. On his way to make a delivery, he takes a shortcut through, take a guess,
Silent Hill.
He ends up almost running over this girl here. Afterwards, she runs off, and instead of getting out of there, he decides to follow her on foot and comes across a house on fire. After hearing somebody in there, he rushes in to save them, and how is she not dead? Why, if she can put out fire, why didn't she earlier? Regardless, he gets out of the building intact and faints immediately after getting out. He then awakes in, take a guess,
Silent Hill.
He decides to go to the hospital where he thinks that the person he saved is. But instead we have the first enemies of the game, which leads us how combat works. And it's got a couple of good ideas, but it fumbles. It allows you to use many items of many types. The catch is that they all break pretty fast. But the thing is that they're always throwing items at you, so you'll always have more than you need, and even then, enemies have a large amount of knockback, and this is the first Silent Hill game to allow you to use your fists as a weapon, and in most cases, your fists do the job just as well as anything else. Which leads us into why this game isn't exactly scary. For what it's worth, the game's music and atmosphere are good, fog looks like it should, even if it's a little more distant than usual, and even the monster designs can be pretty cool, especially in dark areas, but none of that matters because I can't be scared of what might be out there if I know that no matter what the game throws at me, I'll be able to just punch it until it's dead and not have a scratch on me. And this goes for the bosses too. Every single one, all I had to do was walk away and keep shooting until it was over. Straight jackets, punch it until it's dead. Aerial, punch it until it dies. Two back, keep punching away. No matter what hell beast this game throws at me, the same strategy mostly works. Of course you can just avoid them as well, but they also added stamina to the game, meaning after a while of running, Travis gets all tired and you have to wait to run full speed again. Of course you can bypass the wait by drinking an energy drink, but they essentially just fix a problem they didn't even need to add. Great job, guys. The locations you go to can range from what you expect, a hospital, apartments, stuff I really enjoy like the theater, or absolutely lame like the sanitarium. Real creative, guys. But while we're on locations, there's exploring of said locations. For the most part, it's like the other games. A bunch of rooms with items, some of which are required for puzzle solving, and a map to help you see where you can go and where you haven't gone. Which for the most part, this game does fine, with the puzzles being just about what I expect from the series. But what this game does is use the other world, a rusted, dilapidated version of whatever location you're in, as an extension to exploration by having you switch between them through mirrors, and it serves no actual purpose. The locations are large enough as is, so the last thing you need is another replica map to explore on top of it. But what they do instead is just split the area in half, only allowing you to reach each location in one world or the other, so really it's just one map with the added steps of touching a mirror. And also not helping with exploration is the lack of tank controls, and I know many of you, and even myself, hate tank controls in games. But hear me out here. If you're going in one direction, the camera could cut to another angle and suddenly forward is no longer the direction you're holding, which can occasionally have you going in circles. The previous games had an option for either regular or tank controls, and I don't see why this game had to get rid of them. But as much as I've been harping on this game, I do want to say I genuinely enjoyed my time with the game. Travis is an interesting character for what little of it gets shown, and if you do decide to check this game out, I recommend getting it digitally on PSP, as both physical versions of the game can run you a pretty penny these days. From here on, I'll be getting into some spoilery stuff, so if you wish to avoid them, you can stop watching the video now. As I said before, Travis has an interesting character, and of course the purpose of the town of Silent Hill is to better explore the characters we play as. This game does that, of course, but it also is an origin story for the town. This means that the more interesting story of who Travis is has to fight for the spotlight against a bunch of stuff already explained in Silent Hill 1. A few parts of the game I don't like do have story reasons. The nurse enemies, as which we've all heard before, is in Silent Hill 2 to symbolize James's sexual frustration. But believe it or not, Travis is known to have problems with girls as well, shown in the beginning cutscene and in the relationship with his mother where she attempts to kill him, which gets revealed during the sanitarium, as well as other things such as the mirrors switching between worlds always being within girls' bathrooms. In the apartments, it's shown that his father hung himself after all the pain he was going through after his wife went insane. The lame Pyramid Head equivalent, the Butcher, is there because it's hinted that Travis is very violent, maybe even killing a few people, which is also shown in the game's combat where he's more competent than any other protagonist, capable of using anything in a room or even his bare fists to destroy everything in the game. But the problem is that these are still reused ideas and all come at the cost of gameplay, where I would have preferred new ideas that enhance rather than detract from it. I think I've said just about everything I want to about this game. If you do want to try it out, as I've said before, the PSP version is only $10 on PSN, and while not available directly on Vita, it can be transferred onto it by a PS3. And as far as the PS2 and physical PSP versions go, I don't recommend the prices they go for. I luckily got mine for only $15, but it's got no manual. Regardless, I'll see you next time.